baby clothes because my kids weren't babies anymore. You know, they were, gosh, I don't even know. I start making up numbers because I can't remember anything. They were like, I don't know, 10 and 8, 10 and 7, I don't know. So I actually took what I had learned at the agency and started doing branding consulting. So that was the start of branding consulting. And I did a lot of that with the baby company too, because there were lots of moms who were like me, starting businesses either on the side or, you know, stay-at-home moms starting businesses. And so I was consulting them on how to build their brand, their business, how to do PR and things like that. So I think of pivoting in the sense of life stages. And what I had to learn, and this is key, and I have to remind myself this all the time because I took another pivot about a year or so ago, is that pivots, the mindset isn't that I quit this business.
Tell it.
Not quitting. Or this business didn't work. The baby business, I probably would have stayed a little bit longer, but I was depressed. I was on antidepressants. My marriage crumbled. I lost my house, my car. Like it was a pretty rock bottom place. Right. I can't be making baby t-shirts. Like I couldn't fill orders. I couldn't feed my kids. Like there was a lot I had to go through. And so in my mind, it didn't work. It failed. I couldn't keep it together. That was the same thought with my marriage. I couldn't make this work. Wow. Couldn't keep it together. And so therefore I had to let it go. Whereas now, and that was over 10 years ago, now when I look at a pivot, I think of it as a graduation. Ooh. So I have graduated from this period in my life, from this time. I don't have babies anymore, so the baby business doesn't make sense. Right. I'm not trying to rebuild my entire life and need the stability of a paycheck. So the advertising agency didn't make sense. I, shifted from working with, I used to work with Etsy makers, which was wonderful and great. But after a while, how many diaper bags do you have to sell to be able to afford my branding services? That became a little bit tricky. Right. So I pivoted from that, but I wrote a book so that I could help serve them. So in my mind, it's like, I've graduated from this phase in life and this phase in business to this other level. And my son is like, he was obsessed with video games. I think, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, that obsession has slowly moved away. But at one point in time, that's all he could do was video games. And so thinking about the levels, when you beat level 3, you got to take all the skills and the guns and the grenade and whatever you collected on level 3 to get up to 4 and beat level 4. And so same thing with these pivots. My businesses didn't fail. I didn't quit. I graduated to this new level. So that's what I keep telling myself in my mind. So for those of you in this crazy time that are having to shift and pivot, don't resist it because you'll get stuck behind. We'll end up in a world that is changing rapidly and you'll be stuck in the same business model, the same focus, and you wouldn't have evolved and graduated to that next level. So don't fight the pivot, welcome it, and think of it as this like exciting new challenge.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you. That is, that I've never heard it said like that. However, it makes so much sense to hear you explain it. A pivot is a graduation. So you pretty much graduated one level. Now you have to ascend to the next. And what do? You take your skills. You don't lose any skills. No, you just improve. Oh, wow.
Improve. Yeah.
Okay. So now, what is one thing that you wished you'd known before you started? I don't even know where to start, right? But one thing that you wish you'd known, like what if someone was to say, okay, I'm getting ready to start a business, what's the first thing you're going to tell them?
So there is a difference between what you know to do and what you do. So when I think back and when I started the baby company and every pivot I've had, right, every business and shift in life, I know this information. I knew to do this, but I didn't do it. And that is to find someone who is doing what you've done or who has done what you're doing and learn from that person. That sounds so it's like, duh, like, of course, like you would never run a marathon if you didn't train and talk to somebody who's run a marathon, right? But a lot of us try to run marathons. I've never tried to run a marathon, but I did run a 5K with no training. I didn't talk to nobody. I just threw on some shoes and thought I could do something.
No couch to 5K training, nothing.
No couch to 5K, nothing. I'm ridiculous, and I almost, I almost had some serious issues because of it. But the same thing with the business. We start something,
Yeah.
and we might do our little research, and we may be, but we try to go it alone, and we try to do it alone. And there's such thing called dummy tax. I have paid so much dummy tax, and that's basically when you try to do something you don't know what you're doing, which is okay, but you're going to pay the tax. You're going to end up having to pay someone to fix the stuff you didn't know. You're going to take a long way instead of going straight to the end result. Like, dummy tax is money, time, resources, energy, all of those things. And so I've paid a lot of dummy tax over the years. And the first major tax was when I created a website for my baby company. This is 2007. So WordPress had just launched, and I didn't even know about it. There was no Wix, there was no Squarespace, there was nothing. And so I had to pay $3,000 for someone, and this is 2007 money, $3,000 to have someone build a website. But because I didn't know what I needed, I wasn't able to tell them what I needed. So they built this site that didn't have a shopping cart.
That's kind of important.
Shopping cart. So things like that. But if I had found someone or reached out, and this is kind of that second part of that, is not be ashamed to reach out.
Yeah.
And ask the questions. I would have known that I needed a shopping cart. I would have known what it was. I would have known that I needed a checkout, because that's different than it. Like, all of these things, so that I wouldn't have wasted time and energy and money. So that's what I would recommend, is find someone who's doing this. Ask all the questions, and don't be afraid to ask silly questions.
Right. Okay. Now, you do mostly marketing now, right? More. Okay. So explain this to me, because sometimes, I'm like a kindergartner when it comes to marketing and branding. I know they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us why not.
All right. So branding is how you present yourself, your business, your product, in strategy, language, which is huge. I feel like branding, the words you use to describe what you do is probably the biggest, most important piece of branding. And then how you look. So that's, where we all go in our head, the colors, the logos, and things like that. So that is branding, is how do you present yourself?
Right.
What does that look like? What does it sound like? What is that? What is that brand strategy? Marketing is then taking that brand and getting it in front of people. So two totally different things. I can have, and I've learned this in the past, the most amazing brand. It's packaged right, it looks good, it sounds good, the right words, I'm speaking to the right target audience, all of these things,
right,
and all beautiful and together, beautifully branded on the website. And if no one goes to that website and no one sees or hears about that brand, then I haven't done any marketing.
Oh, so I call that, it's like you've you planned the party, but you forgot to send out the invitation.
Exactly. So basically the party doesn't really exist if no one came. You know what I mean? Or
I hear that the party don't exist.
It didn't exist if no one came. Like, how do I know you really had that party if no one came? Right? The other analogy that we use a lot of times is that the brand and that business strategy and the business model is like building a car. If you built this amazing $300,000 Ferrari, it's expensive, it's beautiful, it's perfect, but you don't have any gas in that car, the car's not going anywhere. So that gas is that traffic, it's the marketing, it's getting eyeballs to see this beautiful thing that you've built.
Oh, so what tips do you give when it comes to, someone doesn't really know, like they have the brand together, but now they are clueless as to like the first maybe 2 to 3 steps to take to start marketing yourself to make an impact with your audience?
So the two things I would say for marketing is a hustle. Like that is, it is work and it is grind. And when you think about like, the people, you've got the Damon Johns and all, like just these different like names of people that were like sleeping on buses and passing out flyers, like that hustle that we lose because we're in this internet phase and we just think, we're going to hit send and it'll be great.
Right.
So marketing is a hustle, and it's a lot of people will peter out during that branding process. So the branding happens and now they're like, oh gosh, that took a long time. That was a lot of effort. That was a lot of money. And they get tired and then they stop and they don't do the marketing. So that marketing is that next oomph and like second wind of hustle that you need to have. And you need to have resources to put into that. So those resources are either going to be money or time or energy. Like it's got to be all of it. If you have no money, then you're going to work your butt off to get your name out and to be creative in those ways. Or you're going to spend money to do that. Like you have to invest in advertising. Like that's just the world we're in a very smart way. That's a whole other podcast interview. Right. But if you're saying I don't have time and I don't have energy and I don't have money, then you're I don't know what to tell you. You're kind of out of luck. Right. The last thing on marketing is that marketing, the definition of marketing is actually building relationships to communicate your brand, right? Yes. It is not selling. Marketing isn't sales. So a lot of times we'll go out and we'll just say, hey, my name's Olivia, and KeeKee, you're the best at this at calling people out and being like, you can't approach me like that. What are you talking about? My name's Olivia, buy my book. My name's Olivia, hire me for this. I have a coaching program. It's only $2,000 and whatever. Wait a minute. Who are you? Yeah. Your name's Olivia, but who are you? I have no relationship with you. Right. None. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't trust you. I barely know your name. Right. So think about marketing. It's all about relationship building first. And once we've got that connection, I could ask you to buy, my lip gloss or, whatever I have, right. And you will consider that and you'll be more likely to buy it because we've built some sort of rapport.
Olivia, I don't understand, or maybe I do. Because of you hit on it, because we're in a world where, you can just click a button and hit send, and all of a sudden it feels like you've created a relationship with someone, or someone likes a status and there's a relationship. However, we know that is not the way to build a business. I think that they are like in the marketplace, people are forgetting that know, like, trust factor as if it doesn't exist. And I blame the fact that people say that, I can make money while I sleep. However, to make money while you sleep, you got to make money while you're woke. Right. And you need to do things to make money come in while you sleep. Like, okay, I've made money while I slept, but that's because I put some work in before the money came in. Mm-hmm. And I built those relationships. And yes, you're right. I have become known for calling out that madness on social media because I need people to know.
Yeah, they need to know. No one's people are teaching the wrong thing. Yeah. And if no one's correcting people to say, oh, baby girl, you can't do that. You're not going to have success. Then they won't know and they'll just keep doing it. And then this is what breaks my heart is entrepreneurs who are broke and tired and literally in tears because of the efforts that they're doing aren't coming back and they're not bearing fruit. Right. If us elder people aren't educating, then we can't stop the madness and we can't help people get results. So
right, it's like I understand the need to get results. I also understand because you're an entrepreneur, you need to make money. Like no one is an entrepreneur because they just want to give. Even though you hear a lot of entrepreneurs, and I was guilty of this myself. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. It is absolutely about the money. Once you can't pay your bills and this is your only source of income, the money needs to come in. So there becomes a thought of money. However, I think that what happens is because they haven't thought about the money, all of a sudden there becomes a like almost a desperation to bring money in fast.
That's it. We become desperate. We become, then we start posting craziness. Like I call them panic posts, where you're just like, 50% off my coaching, ends tomorrow. Like sign up now. It's like, wait a minute,
I didn't know you did coaching.
I didn't know you did coaching. And what is your coaching on? Like who is it for? And so we end up doing these panic posts and these things out of desperation because we are broke. And now with the financial situation, with, you know, everything happening in the world right now, I think we're starting to become even more panicked,
right,
and potentially even more desperate. So now it's like the thought and the strategy around branding and marketing is starting to go out the window, and we have to breathe. This might go to your last question, but we have to breathe and really pause and evaluate, and not feel like we just have to like do and respond and react so quickly.
Right. You know, one thing I think about is, and I think I may not have this, I'm going to just tell anyone, if you heard this somewhere else, I know that this may not be an original thought. It may have seeped into my subconscious. However, you think about the fact that, imagine if Black Panther would have just come out on, it was coming out this Friday, today, and we had just heard about it on Wednesday.
Right.
You know? So I think that what business owners forget is that there has to be marketing before the thing hits the market.
Yeah. It's called a pre-launch. And you know, that's
yes,
what that is this pre-launch of sowing I can go, we're like gardeners now all of a sudden. Like that's what quarantine has done to us, is created us. We have like 100 and some plants, girl. I don't know what happened, but in this analogies of like tilling the soil, like making sure that the soil is prepared, like planting the seeds, you won't see a harvest. And so that's all that pre-launch, the preparing, the teasing, the building relationships, all of those things to cultivate. So then when you get to this place where it's now ready, the pre-sales, right?
Right.
Now when it's ready, you've got all of these people chomping at the bit to get to the theater, and you know,
like they're ready. They're ready because
they've been ready. They're a little annoyed, actually. They're a little annoyed that they've been waiting so long for this thing, but that builds even more of this excitement.
I think so too. Let me see. Okay, so I don't want, we have a little bit more time here, so I might just be going in. Okay, so the other day I had a guest that talked about marriage and entrepreneurship. Now, one thing I know that's unique for you is that you and your husband are entrepreneurs. Yes. I think that is like the coolest thing, because what we know is that most women, when they're in entrepreneurship and their husband is not, it's totally different dynamic. Like for me, I can say when I first went into the full-time entrepreneurship, for Cedric, it was like, when is the money? You know, men work and
timelines, yeah.
And we work and we work and we work. And then eventually we get paid. We can have a $20,000 day, and then for 6 months you may not get any more money.
Right.
So talk about how is it when you and your husband are both entrepreneurs?
It's amazing. It's exhilarating. It's beautiful. And just as beautiful and exhilarating it is, there's that flip side of it, of scary and daunting and hard and stressful, because we're both relying on inconsistent paychecks and inconsistent dollar amounts. So there isn't like one spouse who has, you know, at least that's steady. And then, you know, so because we're both in that situation, it makes things tight and hard sometimes. But because we're both in that situation, we get each other and we can geek out constantly on this notion of entrepreneurship. We're both in marketing and branding. So it's a beautiful way of connecting. And this sounds really weird and geeky as it's about to come out of my mouth, but there's this like notion of intimacy too, when you can build something together, a product, a business, a brand, whatever, and launch it together. And so then when that is successful and you see the money coming in from something you built together, like having a baby, right? It kind of puts you over the moon.
Right.
But again, that same high, there's an equal low, and it's just making sure that you, as an entrepreneur, whether your spouse is an entrepreneur or not, you ride those highs and lows and try to keep things on a little bit of a medium versus feeling and reacting to every dip and increase. Like that can be exhausting.
Right. So do you guys are you always on, or do you know when to turn it off?
So
She's always on, y'all. I think she's always on.
we're always on. Now, I will say, so I mentioned earlier the pivot that I took, recently in the last year, where I'm working on, I actually had a client that my husband had nothing to do with, so he wasn't touching that business. So it was actually nice for us to separate a little bit, still both being entrepreneurs, but I had something I was doing that he wasn't a part of, and then vice versa. He had something to do that I wasn't a part of, and that actually allowed us to be off more. So I would say in the last year, because we have a little bit more distance there, been able to turn off more than we ever have.
Oh, wow.
And we're able to be in each other's presence and not talk business.
Oh, wow.
Whereas before, that's all we talked about. That's all we talked about. And sometimes it was good, and sometimes it was, whatever, and sometimes it was stressful. But we couldn't go on date night without sitting there and talking about work and clients and
Wow.
getting more clients. And so I think, honestly, because we separated, we teased it apart a little bit, our marriage is better for it now.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're getting ready to, our time is getting ready to come to a close. However, like I said in the beginning, you can't quit me, I can't quit you. So
Right.
What I want you to tell our viewers is, if you had one lesson that you can share with a woman who was getting ready to come into business, what would you tell her?
I would tell her, and I would say this anytime, but even more so now, in the times that we're in, to really sit still with yourself. And that can be hard. And sometimes when we sit still with ourselves, and that looks different for everybody, that could be in meditation and prayer. It could just be in silence. It could be just taking some more time and not jumping the gun on something. A lot of times we will realize and start to understand things about ourselves that we don't necessarily like or love, or that we're surprised about. And so taking that time, you may realize, I'm about to go into business for this, but my heart is not even in that.
Ooh.
And that hurts. It's hard, especially in your mind. You're like, I planned this out. I bought the domain. I'm like, I'm doing these things. But if you take the time to sit still, really understand where your heart is, because entrepreneurship is one of the hardest things. I always say, raising children, raising toddlers and teenagers,
Right.
raising or being married, and running a business. Those are the three hardest things I've ever done in my life. It's so hard and it's amazing. Yeah. But if your heart isn't in it, and if it isn't fueled by some sort of passion, or you're not being true to who you are, that energy is going to run out, and it'll be a miserable long road. So my advice would be just to pause and sit still and truly take a good hard look at who you are, who you want to be, your life, the phase of life you're in, and really what your heart is saying and what is driving your passion before you jump into the deep end.
Right. And I want to just add on the end of what she said, is that you really want to be connected to why you're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
I know we talked, it can't be all about the money, but don't forget about the money. There has to be something deeper than why. Like Olivia talked about, she started this because she had children that she needed to take care of, and working a job just wasn't going to work for her. So what connects you to actually building this business and sticking with it?
Right.
Olivia, I want to thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Kicking with KeeKee. This has been so much fun. I'm just like, oh my goodness. I love you so much. I thank you. I hope that I know that we're going to do this again. I can't wait to have you on again. We'll talk about something. I don't know. We got 1,000 things to talk about, you and me.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for joining me, and y'all stay tuned to Kicking It with KeeKee. We got some good shows coming up. I'll see you soon.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Omega. I am a branding strategist, inclusion and diversity advocate, speaker, and entrepreneurial believer. Welcome to Kickin' It with KeeKee. I'm so excited for you to be here, and I just wanted to let you know about my new podcast. It's called God is CEO, and it basically takes entrepreneurs on a journey of placing God in the driver's seat of our business and our lives. Visit me at oliviaomega.com, check out the podcast, and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is KeeKee Cornelius, host of Kickin' It with KeeKee, and we are going to be talking about all things entrepreneurship. I am a business coach and a digital nomad on a mission to help my clients and the people who surround me build businesses that they can run from anywhere. So today, we're going to be talking to Amy LANCI of Untold Story Enterprises. And for Amy, her mission is to make sure people are heard, because she believes this is at the core of every conflict and disagreement in history. So I'm going to bring Amy on so she can join us. Come on in, Amy. Let's talk. Hey, Amy. Welcome to Kickin' It with KeeKee. How are you?
I am awesome now that I'm here. So thank you so much for inviting me on, and for our audience for being here.
Right? Oh my God, this is so exciting. Okay, so Amy is not only an awesome person, she is one of my personal clients. She's been through one of my programs, and I absolutely adore her, and I love her message, and I can't wait to share her with you all today. So Amy, tell our guests something about you.
Tell them just anything about me?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, well, let's not be boring here. So,
Okay.
so for me, I live in sunny San Diego, though it's not very sunny right now. I have a 5-year-old named Autumn. I have a husband named Michael, and I am a copywriter and a marketing consultant. And I'm really just all about making sure people connect with their audience as opposed to just being perfect. Because when your message is just perfect, people can't relate to you. And when people relate to you, that's when they're actually like, I should follow that person, or I'm going to keep an eye on that person, or maybe I'll buy from that. Oh my gosh, I should buy from that person.
Already, she's dropping jewels.
I'm all about.
Already, she's already given us one lesson. And what I heard was you tell your story so people can see who you are and connect with you and buy what you have to offer so that you can serve them. Did you hear that? I heard it. I heard it. So Amy, we're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about like the entrepreneurial journey today, how you got started, what brought you to copywriting, what made you decide, okay, I want to help people start telling their stories.
Oh, that was accidental.
Ooh, I love the accidentals. Tell me more.
That was accidental. Well, okay, so my first business was as a health coach about 5 years ago. I went through my own health journey, and I thought, hey, I'm going to become a health coach. And so when you start a business as a health coach and you never had a business before, you don't know what you're doing. So then you go into different programs to just kind of learn the different things of this is what it takes to have an online business. This is that. This is what marketing actually is. And for me, the easiest part of marketing was the copywriting. And I've been writing all my life for my own blogs and, just high school newspaper staff, and written a research paper, that's actually been published in a scientific journal. So I've been writing all my life. And so when I said copywriting, hey, you just need to write like you speak. And I said, oh, okay, I've been doing that all my life. Everyone can do that. And then I learned not everyone can do that. And which, I'm not laughing at people who can't do that. I just laugh because I thought that was just something that everyone could do, and that's therefore I didn't think it was a skill that specifically some people had, like me. And so then, couple years later, still working on the health coaching business, no money coming in. I had hired a business coach, or I've been in a business coach coaching program. Well, I wasn't the business coach; it was run by a business coach. And what happened was, I had a Zoom call with the business coach, and she said, "So, Amy, what do your friends and family ask you for help in?" And at this point, I was really emotional because I just wanted somebody to pay me something.
Yeah.
And I said writing without even thinking about it. And she said, "You write? We've been working together for 8 months, and you never mentioned anything about writing."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, it just never came up." And so she said, "Well, I'm going to challenge you, Amy, to switch over your business to be a copywriter." And so a week after I changed over my website and I changed over my business cards, a week later I got to my first 2 clients. And I brought in $0 for a couple years as a health coach, and here is, money. There's money coming in. And it was almost as if the universe said, "Go that way." And in terms of telling people, yeah, exactly. And in terms of telling people stories, it was, I realized that as I worked more and more with my clients who happen to be service-based business owners, anyone from finances to healers, but usually more like coaches, authors, and speakers, those categories, I realized that a lot of them kept asking me, "I need to know my story. I need my bio written," over and over and over again. I had some really magical moments, and I was pulling out people's stories, and someone told me, "Hey, Amy, so you do pull out stories. That's not a normal occurrence," because I did that with strangers too all my life. I did that in airports and the grocery store. People would tell me how their parents died after 20 minutes after knowing them. Like, I thought that was just normal. So it was a skill that I didn't think I had, or it was a gift I didn't know I had. And then going to copywriting allowed me to understand, I have this, I've always had this thing all my life. So like I said, KeeKee, it was kind of accidental, but I guess it really wasn't accidental. It was just actually designed that way.
Right. I don't believe there are ever any accidents in entrepreneurship, right? I believe that the journey takes you where you're supposed to go, and you're always where you're supposed to be at any given time on this journey.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually amazing that you actually listened to your coach. Instead of fighting it, you leaned into that thing, and within a week you made money.
Yeah.
Within a week.
Within a week after I changed over, my branding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had sold nothing. I had sold nothing for 2 years as a health coach.
2 years. See, I think the jewel in that is that what we think as entrepreneurs is something that's really easy to us. The thing that I believe, the thing that comes so easy to you is the thing that you should be monetizing. Because it's so easy for you. You don't have to think through it. You don't have to, it doesn't feel like work. Because I believe that we're all living our dreams. We're on a special journey. We're living dreams. We have visions. And if you can connect that vision to the thing that you can do with ease and flow, then you got a winner. It's like winner, winner, chicken dinner as far as I'm concerned, right? Or tofu dinner for those who don't eat meat.
I kind of almost wish that every time a new entrepreneur makes their first dollars, that it would be you singing in the background, "Winner, winner, chicken dinner" in the background. It'd be like the little victory sound of KeeKee singing. The little.
I would be. I'd be like, yes. I mean, I love entrepreneurs, though. I absolutely love the journey of entrepreneurship. I think it's the most special thing that someone else. Not that I'm balking at people who work jobs, because I believe that we also need people in the corporate and in the service-based businesses to actually help us, right? I mean, I love to eat out. So everyone can't be an entrepreneur if I need to go eat out and I want to, serve. Let's just be real, so I don't believe that everyone should start a business. I'm not saying that. I just know that when you're an entrepreneur, or you have that inkling, that urge to jump out and be your own business owner, I believe if you have that vision, you should jump into it, because I don't believe the vision came to you by happenstance. Even though you believe that you say that you are an accidental entrepreneur as far as the copywriting is concerned, it was no accident. You were
it was all meant to be.
Yeah,
it was all meant to be, and I agree. It's a very special journey to be an entrepreneur, and we're not like KeeKee said. I echo. We need people in the corporate space. We need people in the service space. We need people in the nonprofit. But when you're an entrepreneur, you are forced to do all kinds of things to make yourself grow, and it gets really uncomfortable a lot. And you do what you have to do to keep moving. You do what you have to do to look at your money stories, at your other stories, at just being completely honest in this whole thing, and then owning your expertise.
Yeah,
as you call it. So it's like it's a lot, and this is all going on all at once sometimes. And you're like, my head is so filled with everything.
Yes, it's like it's a professional and personal journey at the same time. It's growth in no way that anyone can prepare you for. Sure, there are experts out here for everything, but however, everyone doesn't go through the same thing on this journey. It's a really personal journey, and I think heavens for all the people who are out here helping with mindset, helping when we struggle with sales, helping when we struggle with marketing. And that just leads me into, I know that you are working on email communications right now, which at a time in our world, because right now as we're recording this, we are going through the COVID-19 situation. So where people are at home more and they're not communicating face to face, now it's like forcing us to be able to communicate via email. So what I want you to do is to explain to our audience what's the difference between email communication and email marketing.
So email marketing, when you think about email marketing, you think about the newsletters that can sometimes build up in your email box, and you read the ones that are really awesome. And those are typically sent from one business or one company through an emailer platform such as MailChimp. And that is sent to a list of people who said, hey, I want to follow you guys. I would like to receive whatever promotions and updates you have to talk about. And so that is email marketing. You're constantly sending emails to your volunteer, your people who said I want in on your email list. You're sending that to people who are a warm audience who said yes, I would love to just keep reading you in my inbox. But aside from maybe any question you may have, there's no real correspondence. It's just, hey, this is what we're up to. Hey, this is what we're up to. Hey, this is what we're up to. From one company to many people.
Yes.
Yes, very one-sided. And so the whole point is to market what you have to offer to your audience. That's really what it is. Market what you have coming up next. Market what you've been doing as a company, and market anything else you may want to market. Now, email communication, when I say that, that's a one-to-one communication. That's as if I'm emailing KeeKee, and I asked her, hey, KeeKee, I would like to be on your show. And then KeeKee writes back to me, and she said, okay, great. So these are my qualifications. And I say, okay, great. I meet the qualifications. How do I pay? So we go back and forth, back and forth. That is email communication. Now, that could be between one-to-one, or it could be one to whoever CC'd on the email. That could be, I don't know, the limited, the maximum number of people on a CC or BCC. Right. But you know what I mean. It's like it's a conversation over email, and this topic is really important to me because email is not just a communication platform; it's a relationship builder. Sometimes people communicate better through email. Sometimes you can't be in person with somebody. Sometimes you can't call them. And sometimes it's just better to leave a paper trail of things that have been said for a project, so that way you guys can always go back to something. But email communication is so important because it's the digital age. You know, you should be able to write an email to be able to clearly have your point come across. And sometimes we like to be shorthanded when it comes to writing, and that's okay. But sometimes that shorthandedness, or sometimes that lengthy writing style, if that's you, it may cause people to either not read your email, miss something, or it could possibly offend people. And so this is something really important to keep in mind when you're communicating with people who are really important to you, such as your family or friends, or even to your teammates, to your supervisor, to your JV partners. You want to make sure that when you're communicating through email, that you keep track of certain things, that you try your best to translate what's in here into here in order to move things forward faster, right? In terms of actually getting the outcome that you want, but being very compassionate to yourself and to the other people, and less drama. Who needs more drama in their lives, really? And I honestly think that people love, like entrepreneurs, they just want to get into the email marketing right away.
Yeah.
But I've seen it where people who jump to email marketing right away, who may not even feel comfortable with email writing in the first place, email communication, they struggle so much with email marketing that you kind of have to go back. You have to go back to the basics. As painful as that is, you have to go back to the basics and say, okay, am I actually writing something that's clear? And if you've mastered that, then email marketing is way better, because then you'll understand the basics of email marketing versus just saying, hey, I do this social media or in person, really. So really the bottom line is that email communication is the foundation that you need to have before you go into email marketing.
That was going to be my question. Like, so is email communication the foundation? This is so good, Amy, because, you know, the reason I believe that I am, okay, I'm going to just toot my own horn, because I believe I'm really good at communicating. However, sometimes I know that things can get lost in translation, right? Because you want to say something some way, but you don't necessarily think about how it comes off on the other end. However, I have focused on that, or I don't know if that's the right word. The reason I studied copywriting, because and this is how it started for me, just to study copywriting, is because you remember the time in the industry where there were like these long form sales pages.
Yes.
Oh my God. So, and by
you'd be scrolling like 10 times to get to the price.
Yes. But then I used to get into reading them. So in reading them, I kept thinking, well, I want to be able to write like this, so that when people get to the end, they are just like, bye, right? However, what I found is, and this is something that so everyone should keep in mind when you think about email marketing, because not everyone can email market and make money from their email list. I am one of those people, and I'll tell you why. What I've learned is that the people who are connected to me, who really want to invest in working with me, they want to connect with me personally first. So they want to be able to have a personal conversation. Sure, they'll read the emails, they'll comment on the post, but at the end of the day, before they spend any money, I rarely have anyone who will spend money just by clicking and buying an email, even though I know that email is fire.
Yes. And I've read your emails. They are fire. That's what got us back in communication with each other. Like, oh my gosh, it's KeeKee. She's back.
Yes. So what I want our audience to keep in mind is that even though you are phenomenal at email communication and you have like this badass email marketing system set up, don't be discouraged when people aren't clicking to buy. It may just mean that they need another level of touch with you.
Exactly.
you just have to figure out with your audience what that level of touch is. For me, I know it's personal touch. There's something about the sound of my voice. I don't know what it is because, you know, it sounds different in my head than it does to everyone else, right? But however, I know that the communications that I do, written communications that I do have to be on point, and they have to speak to my ideal client. Wouldn't you agree, Amy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because with that old saying, if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. So if your ideal client is reading this, that, oh, this has nothing to do with me, then I'm just gonna shut up. I mean, when you think about it, your inbox gets filled real quick.
Yeah.
And unless it's something that really interests you, with either entertaining you or is fulfilling a need you've been thinking of, most likely you're either going to forget about it, you're not going to open it, or you're just going to put it in the trash folder. So for someone like KeeKee, like, I know for myself, I look forward to talking to her every single time. Doesn't matter how often I talk to her, I look forward to talking to her every single time. And so her list, from what I gathered, they probably have the same impression of, well, shoot, I just want to see how she's doing. You know what? She's pretty awesome. I haven't talked to her in a while, and I could use some KeeKee in my life again. So I'm going to call her up, or I'm going to send her a message to set up a call and be in this, that's really how your list is probably working. Like, hey, this is a good excuse to talk to KeeKee.
I can get myself in trouble too, like that. I can get myself in trouble because
Oh, really?
Yes, because I just told you, I love to talk to entrepreneurs. I love to talk about vision and business. And sometimes the lines it's like I can get overwhelmed in the talking because I get energetically, when you're talking about your businesses, even though I'm an introvert, the talking about the businesses and the visions and the goals, it gives me energy. However, it puts me on such a high that I'm like a kid in a candy store that you've given all the candy that they can eat by the time I'm done with the call and I'm exhausted. And I don't want to change that. You know, I just know how to I've learned how to manage my energy before the call and after the call so that I don't get so tied up in the drain, because I don't ever want to feel drained with my people. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be a good conversation. So that's how I say I can tend to get myself in trouble.
Oh,
it's like
gotcha.
So I had to learn in the beginning how to set boundaries for myself, not for everyone else. It was just really for me. Like, okay, I had to learn how to end a call without being abrupt. How to direct a call without feeling like I'm forcing them in a direction, or being able to learn. I had to learn how to control the call, really, because sometimes I get on the call in the beginning and the person on the other end would be controlling the call. And it's like,
oh,
yeah, you can't have that happen. So anyone listening to us, learn your boundaries.
Learn your boundaries. And I've had to do that too, because, you know, there's some people like KeeKee who I call and I feel lifted up. And then there's some people who just drain me. And also I realized that I can't control the combination of people, but I can control the number of coffee dates or virtual coffee dates that I have in a day. So I won't take more than 2 or 3 calls in a day, because otherwise I just want to take a nap afterwards. And having a 5-year-old, I'm not allowed to take a nap. So then it's like,
no.
So then I become cranky mommy Amy, who just took off her copywriter hat at the moment.
Right?
Like, all right, I'm talked out, no more. Even though I love people, but I understand like the ups and the downs and then you just want to fall asleep afterwards. And I need to recover. Yeah. So that's my boundary of just no more than 2 or 3 calls today.
Yeah, and I don't think no one really talks about it, right? No one really talks about the boundaries, the setting the boundaries, or making sure that self-care is a thing. Like, it's just become a thing in the last few years. However, it's always should have been a thing, and especially as women, because we're taught to be selfless, right? And you don't want to be
Yes.
selfish with your time, and you feel like you're almost guilty for practicing self-care, when
Yes.
it's important to practice self-care if you're going to be effective with the people that you serve on a consistent basis. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh yeah. And being a communication person, I look at words a lot. And so, yeah, self-care just became a thing. And then somehow the word capable has a synonym of anti-self-care in a way, like saying, I'm a capable person. I don't need to rest. I don't need to take a nap. I'm capable. I can be a mom and a wife and a business owner and all these different things. Like, I'm a capable person. I don't need to stop. And somehow capable has become anti self care. Like, because you're capable.
I am capable of taking I am capable of taking the afternoon off when my energy is depleted. Let's change this word, right? So, Amy,
Yes.
we have just about little over a minute left in our time together today. I know we've had some fun, right? So, what I want to do is I want to make sure that our audience knows how to get in touch with you, because they need to know how to set the foundational tools for effective email communication. So, tell them how to get you.
Awesome. So you can go to my website, to www.untoldstoryenterprises.com or amylanci.com, LANCI, not LANCY, LANCI.com. You can also email me at amy@amylanci.com. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. And I'd love to offer your audience a free 30-minute call where I would actually go over a piece of their copy for free. It could be one of their one of their website pages. It could be a very small email sequence, say 2 or 3 emails. I'll look it over and do a little audit for free. Normally I charge for that. And I'll say, okay, so this is great in this way, and these other things need to be improved on, and this is what I would replace them with. So that's what I would love to offer to the audience, and I'll send you that link, KeeKee.
Yay! So I'll be putting the link so that you all can connect with Amy. I want to thank you for tuning in to Kickin' with KeeKee, and stay tuned for the next episode. We are going to be talking again all things entrepreneurship. That's all we're about on Kickin'. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher, unlock the fire.
Hey y'all, this is KeeKee with your 60-second strategy session. And today we're talking about attracting more clients using the know, like, trust factor. The key here is to create content that you know your potential clients will want to consume, that will activate the know, like, trust factor between you and them. The first thing you want to do is to show them how you know them. So tell them things about yourself that in your storytelling that you know that they know to be true about themselves as well, because there is a connection between what you know and how they feel. Okay. The second thing is to share content in a way that you know they like to consume it. So if you know they like videos, do videos. If you know they love pictures or funny gifts, do pictures or funny gifts. If you know that they want to read it or they want to have a podcast, then give your clients or potential clients the content that they want to consume. The last thing here is to give them a reason to trust you. And you can do this simply by sharing your stories, being vulnerable.